The art of becoming your future self before you see the results. Let me tell you something that nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to hear. Right now, tonight, there is a version of you sitting quietly in the future, fully formed, fully successful, fully at peace, and that version of you is waiting on one thing. Not luck, not money, not a lucky break, not a better economy, a better boss, a better set of circumstances handed to you on a silver platter. That version of you is waiting for you to become someone worthy of meeting him. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for results to show up before they change who they are. They say, when I get the money, I'll start acting rich. When I get the body, I'll start acting disciplined. When I get the respect, I'll start acting confident. They keep pushing the becoming to the other side of the receiving, as if life owes them proof before it owes them growth. But I want to flip that on its head for you tonight, because that thinking has kept more people poor, weak, and stuck than any recession, any bad economy, any bad luck ever could. It is not the economy that's failing most people. It is the order of operations. The truth, the hard, beautiful truth, is that you don't become successful and then change. You change and then you become successful. Read that twice if you have to, because your entire future depends on which side of that sentence you decide to live on. And if you stay with me for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how that transformation works, why almost everyone gets the order backwards, and what you need to do starting tonight, not tomorrow, not Monday, tonight, before you ever see a single result. Because the people who understand this principle are the ones who win big, quietly and repeatedly, and the people who don't are the ones who wonder, year after year, why nothing ever changes even though they keep trying so hard. So don't leave yet. Don't let this be another thing you nod along to and forget by morning. What I'm about to share could be the difference between another year of almosts and the year everything finally clicks into place. The year your outside world finally catches up to who you've decided to become. Here's the first thing you need to burn into your mind. Becoming comes before receiving. Nature doesn't skip steps, and neither does life, no matter how badly you want it to. The farmer doesn't get the harvest before he plants the seed. He doesn't get to see the corn before he tills the soil, waters it in silence, and waits through seasons where nothing visible is happening. But underneath that soil, everything is happening. Roots are spreading in the dark, reaching for what they need, building the foundation for a harvest that hasn't earned its right to exist yet. Your life works the exact same way. The results you want, the income, the relationships, the respect, the health, those are the harvest. But the harvest is never the starting point. It's the last thing to arrive, not the first. And here's where most people get it backwards. They wait to see the money before they start managing it wisely. They wait to see the muscle before they commit to the discipline. They wait to feel confident before they start acting bold. But confidence isn't the price of admission. It's the reward for showing up anyway, again and again, long before you feel ready. So stop asking, how do I get the results? That question keeps you staring at an empty field, frustrated that nothing's growing, blaming the soil, blaming the weather, blaming everyone but the one holding the seed. Instead, start asking, who do I need to become for these results to be inevitable? That question puts a shovel in your hand. It gets you planting instead of waiting. It gets you building instead of watching from the sidelines of your own life. And once you start living by that question, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing the harvest, and you start becoming the kind of person harvests naturally follow, the way morning naturally follows the darkest part of the night. That single shift, that one question asked every single morning before your feet even hit the floor, changes everything about how you spend your days, and eventually everything about the life you're living. Now let's talk about the part nobody likes, the invisible work. This is the work you do when there's no applause, no likes, no bank statement to prove it's working. This is the early morning when you wake up before you have to, when the house is still dark and quiet and nobody's keeping score, nobody's watching, nobody would even know if you rolled back over and went to sleep. This is the book you read when you could be watching something easier, something that asks nothing of you and gives you nothing back either. This is the workout when your body hasn't changed yet and won't for months. When the mirror gives you nothing back for your effort except more effort required tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Understand this. The invisible work is not preparation for the real life. The invisible work is the real life. It's not the warm-up before the main event. It is the main event, happening in a room with no audience, on a stage nobody bought a ticket to, Most people quit exactly one season before the harvest because they were only willing to work as long as they could see proof. They needed a receipt for every ounce of effort, and when life didn't hand one over fast enough, they packed up and went home, telling themselves it just wasn't meant to be. But proof is not for the planting season. Proof is for the harvest season. Those two seasons are not the same, and confusing them is where dreams go to die quietly, without a funeral, without anyone even noticing they're gone. If you need to see it to believe it, you will never survive long enough to become it, because belief has to come first. And evidence always shows up late, almost stubbornly late, as if testing whether you'll still be standing there when it finally arrives. The people who make it, the ones you admire, the ones whose lives look effortless from the outside, they are not the lucky ones. They are not the chosen ones. They are the ones who kept showing up in the dark, doing the boring, repetitive, invisible work, long after motivation left the building and only discipline remained standing at the door. Next, understand that identity change always comes before behavior change, and behavior change always comes before results. This is the order. Skip a step, and everything you build collapses back to where it started. No matter how hard you tried, no matter how many courses you bought, or how many plans you wrote in a fresh notebook, you cannot behave in a way that's inconsistent with how you see yourself for very long. You'll always snap back to your self-image, like a thermostat snaps back to its setting, no matter how many times you crack a window open to let in some cold air. Set the thermostat to 70, and the room can dip or spike, but it will always find its way back to 70. Your self-image works the same way, quietly correcting your behavior in the background, whether you're paying attention or not. So if you're trying to save money, but you see yourself as someone who's just not good with money, you will sabotage every plan you make, quietly, almost on purpose, without even noticing you're doing it. You'll find the one excuse to spend, the one emergency that isn't really an emergency, because deep down your identity is still set to broke, and your behavior is just following orders from a belief you never bothered to update. If you're trying to build a business, but deep down you still see yourself as an employee waiting for permission, you'll shrink every opportunity down to fit that identity. You'll ask for permission from people who have no authority over your future, and you'll call that caution instead of what it really is, which is fear wearing a disguise, dressed up to look responsible. So before you fix the behavior, fix the belief. Start speaking to yourself the way your future self would speak, with confidence, not apology, without the constant qualifiers and disclaimers you've grown so used to attaching to every sentence. Start making decisions the way your future self would decide, decisively, not from scarcity, not from the fear of what might go wrong. Not because it's true yet, but because that's exactly how it becomes true. Identity leads, behavior follows. Results arrive last, and only once the first two are settled. Now, discipline. Let's be honest about it, because motivation is a liar. It shows up loud and excited for the first 3 days and then leaves you standing there alone, wondering why you don't feel that same spark anymore, wondering if something's wrong with you because the fire's gone out. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark is gone, long after the excitement has faded into routine. Discipline is the bridge between the vision you have in your head and the reality you want to hold in your hands. Vision without discipline is just a daydream. It feels good for a moment. It gives you goosebumps at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep and you're imagining the life you want. And then it fades by the weekend, replaced by the same routines, the same excuses, the same comfortable mediocrity that's been keeping you warm and unbothered for years. But discipline, practiced daily, in small, unglamorous doses, is what actually builds the bridge plank by plank, board by board, nail by nail, until one day you look back and realize you're standing exactly where you dreamed you'd be. And you almost don't remember building it because it happened one ordinary day at a time, one small decision stacked on top of another. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. It's that simple, and it's that hard. It's the alarm you don't snooze. It's the meeting you prepare for instead of winging. It's the difficult phone call you make instead of avoid for another week, another month, another year. Every single day, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. And elections aren't won by one dramatic vote. They're won by consistent turnout, day after unglamorous day. Cast enough votes in the same direction, and eventually the election is over. That identity wins permanently, and it stops feeling like discipline at all. It just becomes who you are, the way breathing becomes automatic, the way walking stopped requiring conscious thought a long time ago. Then comes what I call the silent years. The stretch of time where you've changed, you've done the work, you've become someone new on the inside, but the outside world hasn't caught up yet, and it feels like shouting into a canyon and hearing nothing but your own voice come back. This is the cruelest part of the journey, because you feel different, you think different, you make decisions different, and yet nothing around you has moved to confirm it. Not your bank account, not your relationships, not the way people talk to you or about you. This is where most people break. This is where most dreams die. Not from failure, not from some dramatic collapse, but from quitting one ordinary day before the shift was about to show up. Nature has a delay built into it on purpose. And it's not cruelty, it's design. The same design that governs everything worth having. The bamboo tree, for the first several years, shows almost nothing above ground, while it builds a root system strong enough to support what's coming. Years of watering, years of sunlight, years of what looks to everyone else like absolutely nothing happening, like wasted effort, like a bad bet. Then, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up faster than almost anything else on earth, sometimes several feet in a single day, because the foundation was already there, waiting for permission to rise. If you had judged that bamboo tree during those quiet years, if you'd walked past it and called it a failure, a waste of water, a bad investment, you would have been wrong, dead wrong, because it wasn't failing. It was preparing to hold up something enormous, something that needed years underground before it could survive a single day above it. You are in your root building season right now, whether you feel it or not, whether anyone around you notices or not, whether anyone believes in what you're building or not. Don't judge your future by how invisible your progress looks today. The silence isn't proof that nothing's working. Often, it's proof that something enormous is about to. And finally, understand this. Becoming is not a one-time event. It's a daily decision you renew every single morning, whether you feel like it or not, whether the world is watching or not. You don't wake up one day, decide to change, and then coast on that decision forever. That's not how it works, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you a fantasy wrapped in a nice bow. You become him again and again and again. In the small choices nobody's watching. The bed you make even though no one will check. The book you open instead of the phone you scroll for the 100th mindless time today. The hard conversation you finally have instead of avoid for another month. The workout you finish instead of cut short because you're tired and no one would know the difference, no one would call you out, no one would even ask. Every single one of those small moments is a vote. Not a symbolic one, an actual vote, cast in the only election that determines who you become. And here's the part people miss. The votes that matter most are the ones cast when it's inconvenient, when it's boring, when there's no reward waiting on the other side except the quiet satisfaction of knowing you kept your word to yourself, when nobody would ever find out either way. Stack enough of those votes, day after day, quietly, without needing anyone to notice, without needing applause or recognition or proof. And one day you won't have to try to become that person anymore, because you'll simply look up from the daily grind and realize you already are him, not the version you imagined in some fantasy far off in the distance. The actual standing in front of you version built one unremarkable decision at a time, brick by brick, morning by morning. So let me leave you with this. Everything I've shared tonight comes down to one decision, the decision to become before you receive, to do the invisible work before anyone claps, to change your identity before you change your behavior, to choose discipline over the fleeting spark of motivation, to survive the silent years without demanding proof, and to renew that becoming every single morning, one small, unremarkable vote at a time. Nobody is coming to hand you the harvest. Nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "You've suffered enough, here's your reward." That's not how any of this works. And deep down, you already knew that before you sat down to listen tonight. The version of you that has the money, the health, the peace, the respect. He's not waiting somewhere out in the future for luck to deliver him to you on a schedule you get to choose. He's waiting for you to build him, quietly, in the dark, long before anyone else believes he's possible, long before there's a shred of proof to hand to the doubters. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not Monday. Tonight, while this is still fresh, while the fire's still lit, pick one thing. One identity you've been avoiding, one habit you've been postponing, one hard conversation you've been dodging for far too long, and cast your first vote. Just one. Because the truth is, you don't need 100 reasons to change. You don't need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect amount of confidence before you begin. You need one decision made today and repeated tomorrow, and the day after that until repetition turns into identity, and identity turns into a life you no longer have to force yourself to live, because you'll already be him. Go become that person, not someday. Starting now in this ordinary moment, with this ordinary decision that won't feel like much of anything at all. The results were never in front of you, waiting to be chased down. They were always just following behind, patiently, waiting for you to lead the way.